Your journey can only begin when the self-doubts stop. The first step is harnessing your bravery within. Believing in you is your host, Sean Williams. Hello and good day to you all. My name is Sean, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in to another Persevering as an Introvert episode on Bravery Within. Today, I'm going to lead out here right away and stuff here. A lot of you have been listening to the program and stuff there, and to the different podcasts. And this one's probably going to come across a little weird because since I'm a guy and we're not allowed to have emotions and we're supposed to keep everything hidden, you're probably going to think, oh my goodness, Sean, are you actually really talking about this? This is kind of different. But I wanted to let everybody know that in this new world that we're living in, that we're going through, I wanted to try to bring this up in some respects of, there are men out there, we may have been raised to where we have to keep everything, especially in my area, you have to keep it all locked up. You're not allowed to talk about it. You're not allowed to process it or anything like that. So as I go through this episode, I'm gonna just let you know right now that anybody that knows me personally is in my little circle of trust and my family and stuff there. In about a minute and a half, they're going to be screaming at their speakers in their cars or at their computers, wherever they're listening to, because they're going to say, why you need to listen to your own advice as we're going through all of this. So, and I'll explain all of that as we go through the episode and stuff. So what I want to do is let you know that episode 7 today is called Denying Your Emotions. And like I said, in about a minute, they're going to scream at the speakers, and I wish you guys could hear on how much they want me to take my own advice on this one here. But I wanted to talk about this, and I've talked about this on one of my other podcasts. And if you're listening to the other podcast, you're probably going to think, well, geez, Sean, you're talking about this again. This is actually something that I'm really hoping that will help the male introverts out there, especially because, and I know things are different compared to where I live in Podunk, where we don't have as many people, compared to when you get out on the coastlines when you have millions and millions of people. And I realize things are different out there. And I've been out to, the East Coast. I've got to see quite a few things. I have never been out to the West Coast except long enough to fly to Hawaii, and that was about it. But really didn't get to see anybody or anything. So I know things are different out there. So everything that that I'm saying is coming from my point of view, from a little bit smaller town, a little bit smaller folks. So I just want you to know that everything that I'm talking about today, it does fit in, and this is kind of geared a little bit more towards the male side of it there, but the ladies out there that are listening, which I can't say thank you enough for doing it. I'm not trying to push you away or anything like this here. I think once you get done with the episode, you'll understand where I'm coming from. So everything today is about denying your emotions. That's really what it all comes down to. When you break it down, whether you're boy or girl, introvert, extrovert, it doesn't matter. We all have emotions. We all have good ones. We have bad ones. There's so many different ones. There's jealousy. There's hatred. There's longing. There's love. There's lust. There's so many different emotions. It's very, very complicated. And that's one reason why I really wanted to become a counselor, to help, the kids and stuff there as they're going through school. Because, oh my goodness sakes, we all know that the emotions and the hormones that are running through you when you're in your teenage years, my goodness, it's just crazy because your body's developing, you're growing up, you're learning new things, you're trying to figure out how to stand on your own 2 feet. There's so much going on out there. So I wanted to cover this episode, again, it's just, like I said, if you go into one of my other podcasts, you'll probably hear a lot of the same stuff. Not everything the same, but you're going to hear some of the same things. So I'm just letting you know it's not a rehash. I did do a little more research and stuff, but I just wanted to, this is huge to me because introverts are naturally deep feeling and very emotional beings. And I think that this is something that I really wanted to talk to again, and I wanted to just bend your guys' ear a little bit about it. Because normally introverts, we're very closed off, we're very quiet, we're very reserved, and we tend to keep to ourselves. that can actually be, which is good for us because that's exactly how we like it. But the bad part of it is that also can be very dangerous, because if you let things bottle up, it turns into like almost like poison inside of you. Kind of like in episode 6 I was talking about toxic people, and you kind of, I don't want to say you become toxic, but all the feelings and everything that you keep bottled up actually do kind of tend to become toxic. And I want to try to help you guys out there because, like I said, you guys are my extended family. I want to try to do all I can to try to help you guys. So, being that introverts find it very, very difficult to try to talk to most people, in some respects, just like me, it can take years before I feel comfortable enough to talk to somebody about, how, some of the issues that I have inside, some of the things that bother me, even just some of the things that I like. I'm just very, very closed off. And you guys know that too, because I'm sure you're along the same way, because that's kind of the kind of makeup of an introvert is we just stay to ourselves. We don't really share a whole lot. We're very happy, very humorous, very, we have great senses of humor. We're very caring. We're very empathetic. I mean, there's all kinds of different things that we are, and we don't get credit for them because everybody just assumes because we're quiet that, oh, well, they're just snobbish and stuck up. And nothing could be further from the truth. We're actually very, very emotional folks. And I wanted this episode to basically just talk about, what happens if you hide it all inside. And I'll be the first one to admit, yes, that's what I've done my whole life. From the moment that I could start walking and I was taught to be a man, that I had to not talk about it. I never could show weakness. I could never show, any kind of pain. I could never show any kind of hurt, anything like that. You had to literally lock it all away. That's just the way I was raised. And I still, for the most part, still do that. It's a habit. And like I said, I'm 49 years old. You don't just reverse a lot of the stuff that you have been raised with just overnight. It's a very, very tough thing to do. And I've done, I went back to the bones of who I am and what makes me up and what my beliefs are, my morals and everything there. And to change the very, very core of yourself is something that most people never do. They never go back to examine what makes them and figure out, okay, well, this I don't like this about me, or I don't like that about me, or what can I make better, or what can I do different. To change your core beliefs is probably the toughest thing that you could ever do personally. When you start, looking inwards, introspection and stuff there, and finding out who you are and what makes you you, and you start looking and you see, okay, well, I don't really like that about me, and this is kind of how the world perceives me. So it's like, okay, maybe I do need to make some changes. But the one thing that probably the toughest thing that has been for me, and if you've listened to my weight loss series that I've talked about this as well, is the reprogramming. It's the mental fight that you do constantly. When you're losing lots and lots of weight like what I have, I've lost a couple 100 pounds and I'm continuing to keep going. The mental game that you fight is incredible. For me, the mental part of it has probably been 90% of my weight loss journey. Everything that I've had to fight through, everything I've had to try to relearn, to try to do better than. That is probably the toughest thing. Yes, you have your cravings for food and stuff. Yes, you miss your old things that you ate. You miss going through a drive-through and getting the greasy cheeseburger and greasy fries, and you just can't do that when you're on the weight loss journey like I am. So, what I had to do is I had to set myself up to succeed this time, and one of them was my mental aspect, and that all led into denying my emotions, because there were so many unresolved things that I had just compartmentalized and locked away, because that's what I was taught. That's what men do. You lock it away. You don't worry about it. You don't talk about it. You just, it's like, oh wow, I don't see it over there. It's camouflaged. I can't see it. And I learned the hard way that there's no good that really comes of that, even though that, I've lived my whole life that way. I've gotten better about it in the past year or two, for the most part there, about, expressing myself a little bit more, or learning to talk to somebody. and I have a long ways to go. And I've told you guys many times, I'm a work in progress myself. I've made my fair share of mistakes and oopses, and I continue on a daily basis to make those mistakes. But I'm trying harder and harder not to do that. So one of the things that I have to do is I have to basically reprogram who I am and my emotions, and learn that, okay, well, 30 years of management doesn't help either, because in management, you're not allowed to show emotion. You have to stay even keel. You have to keep your team going because they rely on you. You're the foundation for them. And when they get stressed, they have to be able to come to you and get the strength from you to let the stress kind of just roll off them and to keep going. So, it's one, I'm an introvert. I'm a huge introvert, and I keep everything locked up. 2, I'm a man that was told that we're not allowed to have any feelings or anything. And then the third one is management, where you have to stay even keel and you can't show anything. There's 3 major hurdles that I've had to get over to basically reprogram my mind to allow myself to start talking to people. And it has been a very, very, very difficult road. And that's why you're probably understanding a little bit more now about why I kind of geared this a little bit more towards the male side instead of the female side. I really envy ladies because they're allowed to have feelings. They're allowed to have emotions. You guys are the lucky ones. And like I said, now I know it's not the same in all areas, because there's some areas and stuff, there's other countries where it's okay and men show feelings, and I so envy them. I so respect it. And it was like, you guys are so lucky to be able to do that. But in my area, you're not allowed to do that. You have to keep everything closed off. You're not allowed to talk about anything. That takes a huge toll on your mental state, which is really scary, because sooner or later, all that stuff is like I said, it turns toxic, and it's going to just pile up, and at some point it's going to be just like a volcano, and it's going to erupt, and here comes everything. And most of the time, what I found is it's happened to me, and it's always over the most trivial thing that just happened to me. It could be something as simple as my pen falling on the ground, and everything comes because I've had a bad day. Everything's went wrong. It doesn't matter what I've done. Everything's taken a step backwards. I learned, it's like, holy smokes, it doesn't take much to trigger it, but it may have been years before I let all of this stuff come out. And as I've said in many other podcasts, that's why I go for drives in the hills. That's why I basically just get away from people, because my emotions can be so strong and so overwhelming that then when I get to that point, then I just say things, and you can't take those things back. Unfortunately, you're stuck with that. So once even though the people may not, they may not take it that way, you still said it, and you can't take those words back. And some of them that I say are hurtful, and I don't want, the family and the friends that I do talk to, I don't want to hurt them, because I have all of this stuff all pent up and just trying to process it. And I've had plenty of setbacks in the past 5 years of what I've had to get myself through. I mean, there was a reason why I was over 300 pounds overweight, because I ate my emotions. And that's one thing that I still struggle with on a daily basis. This is like, if you have a stressful day, it's like, oh, I want to run to the cupboard and grab some cookies and some cakes and brownies and whatever you can grab to basically just start eating, so then you don't have to deal with those emotions. And I know there's a lot of people out there saying, well, yeah, we know this, Sean. You're just saying this just because what are you trying to do? Fill space and time. There's still a lot of folks that don't know that, and I just want you to know you're not alone out there. I used to think, honestly, that I was the only one. I was out on an island. Nobody understood where I was coming from. It was very, very difficult to help get myself through stuff, because yes, you can pull yourself through, and introverts are very, very independent. We don't like asking for help. We don't want to rely on somebody else, because we feel that we're inconveniencing them. We feel that we're putting them out, and and it's just like, we don't want to do that. It's like, so many years, and I still think this way, is I should be able to stand on my own 2 feet. I don't need anybody. I can get myself through this. I am my own island. It's not a problem. I've got this figured out. And for the most part, I do pretty well at that. But there's still times that even and this is a hard thing to admit. I need to talk to somebody sometimes, and my family's really good about giving me the space that I need to allow myself to come around. Because one of the worst things to do is to come up and constantly pick at me, and all that's going to do is it's going to make me explode at you and say things that I'm going to regret later, and I don't want to do that. I want to protect my family. I'm not there to tear them down. But I'm learning as I go on how to be a better man, how to talk about things, how to do things a little bit better. It's a long road. I'm slowly getting there. Like I said, I'm a work in progress, and I know the people that know me that are listening to this, they're screaming at their speakers right about now. They're probably hoarse because they're saying, you need to take your own advice, Sean. You need to start listening to your own self. Go back and listen to your own podcast because you need to start doing some of this. Well, I am doing some of this. That's why I decided that I wanted to talk to my introvert family out there and let them know that, okay, this is what I've went through. Hopefully something like this can help you. And then to top all of that off, everything that I've talked about for the past 15 minutes about feelings and everything else, and not everybody believes in this part of it, and understand it, and that's fine. You don't have to believe this, but I know it's true because I've lived with it my entire life, and I know other people. It's bad enough when you're a man and you have feelings and you're supposed to hide everything and you're not supposed to talk about them and all this stuff. But and I know there's male introverts and even extroverts out there. It doesn't matter as long as you're man and stuff. We all know that women are very sensitive to feelings. They're fantastic about that. They can read other people very well. I've always been amazed at that. Kind of like the mom side of everything. Moms know everything. They're incredible. But there are men out there like me that are very sensitive to emotions. Now, I know that seems funny, and it seems like, you're a country boy. You don't have any feelings. You're rough and tough and tumble, and you don't have to worry about anything. Well, contrary to popular belief, I was made basically with more feelings and to be more sensitive, and otherwise known as I'm an empath, and I can highly attuned to feeling the emotions around of others around me is the best way to say it. Now, before you start laughing and chuckling and shutting off the podcast, this is actually a real thing. There is science that is behind it saying, some of us are really good at that. So now imagine being able to, when you're walking down the street, and you can look at somebody and you instantly know how they feel. Are they happy? Are they sad? Are they depressed? Are they worried? Are they stressed? Are they hungry? Are they concerned about a loved one? Are they thinking about happy times? There's so many emotions that go through a person's mind, and just, even in 30 seconds, you'd be surprised on how many times you don't even realize how many times you change emotions, even in 30 seconds. And an empath picks up on that. Now, imagine being somebody like me that's a man that you're not supposed to have feelings. You have to lock it all away. You're not supposed to talk about it. And you have all of your own emotions that you're not dealing with and working with, processing, and anything else. And now you have all these emotions of everybody else that's around you. Oh, that is like a flood. It's like standing in the middle of the ocean and the current's constantly hitting you and you're drowning. The water goes over your head and it gets to be so much after a while. It's insane. Now, I know there's people out there that are going, okay, Sean, you've fallen off the horse. We don't believe you. And that's fine. And I'm not here to convince you otherwise. I'm here to talk to the people that are like me. And I'm not going to try to prove myself that I am an empath because I do feel deeply. Anybody that has come to know me knows that I'm pretty good. I get premonitions. I can see when things are going to happen. Not all the time. I'm not the best at it. I'm still figuring out and I'm still learning, but I can see certain things. Now, I'm sure half of you have turned off your radios by now because you're thinking, okay, I'm not going to listen to this, and that's fine. What I want to do is I want to reach out to the people that are like me, that are struggling every day with these emotions and stuff there. And the worst part is when you feel this deeply, you deny your emotions even more because there's so much. It's like, okay, I don't know how to process this. I don't know how to get through the day. I don't know how to even deal with it. It's like, okay, I'm done. My hands are in the air. I can't do this anymore. It's too much. I'm finished. And trying to process all of this stuff has been a fundamental. I mean, it's like climbing a mountain in the snow without shoes and without a coat on while you're freezing to death. Your feet are tired of getting cut on the ice. You feel like you're walking up a mountain that's absolutely impossible to get up to. And I don't know how else basically to explain it, but other than that, because I love helping people, and I've made that clear through lots of my podcasts and stuff. That's why I do this. I'm not doing it for any other reason. I'm not getting paid for this. Nothing like that. What I'm doing this for is to try to help and to let folks know out there that you're not alone, which is a very, very powerful thing. When you think you are alone and you hear somebody that has the same emotions or the same problems or the same concerns, anything like that, it's like it can help you a little bit. And I never really had anybody there to help me through all of this stuff. Now, the people around me are like me. We're very sensitive. We're very helpful. We want to be there for everybody. I have a wonderful family, a wonderful support structure that helps me through a lot of stuff, more than they think they do. I get told all the time, you need to talk to me. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to work it out. What they don't know is by them just simply being there helps me get through another day so I can keep going and go to work and make money and pay my bills and put food on the table and take care of Willow and and everything else that helps me get through it. So the folks that are out there, and I know there's a lot of you out there that are introverts are naturally very deep feeling people. So introverts are huge empaths because we feel the other person's pain. We feel what they're going through, and it takes a huge toll on us. It's other than I don't know how to explain it other than it's just a flood of emotions. I have struggled with since I wrote this episode up and stuff, and I have notes sitting in front of me, and even the notes that I'm reading as I'm talking to you and stuff there just don't seem to do it justice. It's just like you either know you are one or you don't. I mean, basically, there's no real good test about it. There's some things that that I sat down and I tried to figure out. Okay, what makes me me? What has basically how do I know that I'm an empath? Because to know this, that helped me basically to start working through and stop denying my own emotions. Even though that I'm flooded with everybody else's, I'm learning how to sift through the noise, essentially, and start working on, okay, well, this is overwhelming. I've learned how to close my mind off there so I don't get overrun quite so bad, to give myself a break. But there's a couple things that I've learned myself, and I think this is what makes us who we are, is empathy is one of them. If you care about everybody else, you can feel their pain, and you want to just basically take it away from them. You're very, you're empathic is what you are. You want to help those people, and that's a great thing. And that's one of the things that I kind of figured out. Another thing that I kind of learned is you're more sensitive to, which is weird, but you're kind of more sensitive to sounds, smells, what you see, sights, sometimes just by touch, just anything like that. You can get you kind of feel the vibrations of life that's around you. And I know it sounds weird, and I'm sure I've lost most of my listeners by now by talking about this, but just know that the ones that are still listening, I'm here, and being extra sensitive, it makes it real tough there because, okay, you're dealing with everybody else's emotions and problems because you want to help them because that's who you are. You're very caring. So you just naturally push your emotions down. You just don't process them. You don't worry about them. And you say, well, I'll get back to it later. Well, if you're like me, I just never get back to it later because it's like I don't want to deal with them. It's just too much and it's too overwhelming, especially when you go through like a tragic loss where you lose a parent or a friend, or some people, you lose the job that you've always loved, or you lose the family pet, your fur angel, your fur baby and stuff. There's so many things there that get to be overwhelming, and those take longer to work through than most people give yourself credit for. I mean, to have that kind of loss, it can be just a bit too much. I've lost a total of 6 fur babies in my lifetime, and I still feel them all, and I miss them all. So sensitivity and empathy, that's a couple things. Intuition, like I talked to you about a little bit there, you can kind of see things in the future. You trust your gut more than what other people do, because it's kind of like you kind of know right away, like, okay, this isn't right. Something's not feeling right, or it's not going to go right, or I'm not going down that road means something. You kind of have a little bit more of an intuition of about what might happen or what could happen, and I think that's another huge thing, because that's what helps me. Is there's many times it's like I have no idea why we shouldn't do this. I just get that feeling that, okay, this isn't right, and 9 times out of 10, my guts say don't do it. We don't do it, and there was a reason. There has been times that I was dumb and didn't listen to it, and I paid the price. I paid big time. And I've learned to trust my instincts. I've learned to trust my intuition. It's amazing. Like I said, in one of the other episodes there about management stuff, it helps you in management because it helps you read people a little bit better. Because like when you're doing interviews and stuff, people know how to get through the lines. They know what to say. They're going to say whatever they can to get the job, because they got bills to pay too. They've got food to put on the table. They've got kids to take care of. They're going to say whatever they can so that way they can get to work and bring money in, so that way they can take care of all that stuff. So being super sensitive in that area, that is a benefit, because you can kind of read through the malarkey. You can kind of see through the facade of people. It doesn't always work. There's nothing that I know of that's 100% foolproof. It's just people just get through the lines and they can fool you. But as an empath, I honestly think that this is something that we're good at. But if you are super sensitive, you tend to ignore your own feelings just that much more, because you're processing and dealing with everybody else's emotions and feelings so much throughout the day that it's like when you finally get to yours, this is kind of like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired. I'm drained. There's nothing left. All I want to do is sit in my chair and listen to some soft music and just basically let the day just kind of wash off me. So to me, that's kind of the signs of an empath. We got in probably a little bit deeper than what I was planning on. But this is it's all emotions. It's all things that we deal with. And like I said, introverts are very, very sensitive to this stuff. Now, there are some, basically, if you wanted to take a test, I mean, that's kind of, if you fall within those things. Another thing that I read, I haven't, basically found a real good test that you can do. But to me, I found there's a couple things that are there besides the empathy and the intuition and the sensitivity and stuff. If you find yourself, if you're trying to figure out if you are an empath, where you feel stuff constantly and you don't understand why you are, do you feel yourself overwhelmed in crowded spaces? Now that kind of goes along with being an introvert, but if you're empathic, it's even worse. I mean, it's like everything times 10. Whatever the feelings are normally, it's just horrible. But me, I stay out of, and I've talked about it before, if I get more than a couple people in my office, I start to panic. I look for the door. I look for any way to get out. I look for a reason to get out. I get overwhelmed real fast. So it's really, really hard for me to hide that, because I mean, I've gotten good at it in 30 years of management, but it's still really, really hard. I mean, the insides, it just feels like you're just ready to freak out. To me, is another thing that I kind of know, and I don't know why, is being basically attuned to the past. I have found that you don't know why certain things feel right. The premonitions come along here, but it's almost like you can't see the future, but you know something is coming. And I get them really, really bad when we're gonna have, unfortunately, like a death in the family. Normally up to 2 weeks before it happens, I can feel something is going to change. There's a huge shift in the energies, and I know that sounds funny and I don't know how else to say it, but if you're really, really sensitive to the future or even to the past and stuff, it's almost like you know that something's going to happen, like you've almost been down that road. It's kind of weird, and I don't have a great way of explaining that, because honestly, I am still trying to figure it out myself, going through all this stuff. The other thing is do you always wish to take away somebody else's pain or their stress or their worries, anything like that? To me, that's a huge empath, because you feel their pain and you want to take it away. You want to make them feel better. You want to help them through. You want to help them over the bridge, so that way, they're not going through that tough time. And that kind of goes along with also being a parent. You always want to protect your children. You never want to see them hurt. You never want to see them, struggling. Even though that there's times, unfortunately, it's called tough love, you have to let them once in a while, because no matter what you say, especially when they're in the teenage years, parents know absolutely nothing. And I'll be the first one to admit it. My parents knew nothing when I was a teenager. And it wasn't until I got into my teens or my 20s, and then all of a sudden I have my own son, and some of the things that they were saying, started to make sense. And boy, that was a hard pill to swallow. That was bad. But I thank them for the knowledge that they gave me while they were here on Earth. Neither one of them are with me anymore, so that makes it hard. So when I need to go and talk to somebody, or I need to sit down for a little bit of knowledge or understanding, they're just not there anymore. Unfortunately, that's the part. That's the toughest part. Is I don't have anybody really to talk to that has that infinite knowledge like your parents did. So that's why another thing is I just lock my feelings away. I just don't process them. I don't do anything. But that also helps me understand a little bit more about being, an empath, and understanding where people's feelings come from. And it's just a lot to take in. It's a lot to process. And like this whole episode is talking about is learning to not lock away everything. And that is so difficult to do, because when you've had a stressful day, when everything has gone wrong, everything you've touched is broken, or whatever the reason is, it just gets to be too much, at the end of the day. So all I can say is I'm hoping I didn't lose all my listeners by talking about this. But and like I said, I'm not here to convince you that this is a real thing, because it is a real thing. It's stuff that I feel all the time, and I thought it needed to be worked into, us denying our emotions, because we get so overwhelmed. And I know there's so many introverts out there that get overwhelmed themselves, and I'm hoping that there's something in this, in this episode that's going to be able to help you. So after figuring all this out, and like I said, this has taken me years, lots of research, lots of time on the computer, lots of books, lots of reading, even television shows and stuff there that I have watched, doing research on all of this stuff. So when you start denying your emotions so much more, and you lock them away, and you absolutely just refuse to do anything with them, there's some things that can happen to you, mentally and physically, that is not good for you. I mean, it can be really, really bad for you. You have to learn to find a healthy way to vent, to get them out. And there's so many different avenues that you can do. Some of the things that if you deny your feelings too long, some of the things that can happen to you is then you can start being a little bit more you pick up self-destructive behaviors. And we all know those aren't good. You may smoke more, you may drink more, you may eat more, like what I did, and gain over 300 pounds of extra weight that you didn't need to. You basically just eat your feelings away, or you smoke your feelings away, or you drink your problems away. And we all know none of that is good, but it's, at the time, that's the only way that we know how to process all of these emotions and these feelings, because it gets to be just way too much. And I know you're probably thinking, you know what, you're a guy, I just don't understand how you're able to talk about this. And that's a very, very good question, because like I said, I'm still learning myself. But these are all things I have been down this road so many times, and that's why I wanted to try to help my introvert family, and even my extrovert family out there that is struggling with all of this, how to basically process and cope with emotions. It's very, very difficult. We're programmed with all these emotions, and it's just like, good grief, where did this one come from? Or why am I all of a sudden feeling this way? It gets to be too much. So, to do that, then you develop unhealthy unhealthy coping mechanisms. And, and a lot of people will call them self-destructive, and like I did, and it's kind of what they are. You end up destroying yourself mentally, physically. You just go down a road, and sometimes you just can't make it back. But I'm hoping that we can pull you back from that precipice if you're kind of heading that way. Another thing that you can basically, if you deny too long, you feel worried constantly. You what if yourself to death. You're anxious. You're just constantly worried is basically what I'm trying to say here. And you don't, I mean, it can be any reason why you feel worried constantly. Lord knows there's enough stuff out there with this rough world that we live in. There could be money issues, it could be bill issues, it could be job issues, it could be, your kids are sick, not feeling good, maybe they're being bullied in school, your fur angel is sick and hacking up hairballs all over the floor, or whatever it is. So you're constantly stressed and you're constantly worried. And all that does is just basically feed into those emotions that you haven't processed and you keep locked away. It's just kind of like, okay, well, I'll just put some more in this room, and sooner or later, after you keep closing that door is going to start bowing out because you have so much in there, and then you're not going to be able to get that door closed, and then you explode. And I'm telling you, I've been there before. I'm not going to deny that one. And when I explode, it's like, holy smokes, it's like all over the place, and it's really, really bad. So I've been working on trying to find better ways, better outlets to express my feelings, to express my emotions. I haven't got it all figured out yet, but I'm working on it. Another thing that, you might, if you keep it bottled up too long, you might get, like me, you might get migraines, frequent headaches. You might, basically that stress is bottling up so much, and it's just sitting there and it's not going anywhere, and your body doesn't know what else to do with it. So then it turns it into pain, which basically turns it into a headache. And at that point, you're in trouble there, because and I fight migraines on a daily basis. It's just constant. And that's one good thing that I have my Mountain Dew for, is the Mountain Dew gives me the caffeine in the morning and stuff there to help kind of keep them at bay. But it all depends on, there's pressure fronts that come through. Weather can affect you, stress can affect you, eating can affect you, not eating can affect you. When I'm running way too low on my calories, excuse me, then I find that then I get migraines. I have to be really, really careful with that. So headaches are, and I'm sure you have your fair share of, of those. There could be muscle pains. There could be, joint pains. I mean, there's so many different things that can happen when you bottle up your feelings for so long. Another thing that I've learned is, once you kind of go to the extreme where you bottled everything up, you don't talk about it, you lock it away. Then when you actually do need to talk to somebody about it, you don't know how to talk about it. It's like, I don't know what to say. I don't understand the emotions anymore, because it's just one jumble. They're all sitting in a pool, and I don't know where to start, because there's so many things I want to talk about, but I don't know how to express myself. And I find myself, the madder that I get, the harder it is for me to talk and talk and express everything, because then everything just comes out at once, and none of it makes sense. I could have 6 problems, and all 6 problems get all lumped into one sentence, and the person sitting there looking at me and go, huh? You lost me. And it's like, okay, let me try to figure it out. And you would think somebody that writes books and is pretty good with the English language, you would think that he would be able to articulate his words and say exactly what he wants. But when it comes to emotions and feelings, oh, good Lord, all bets are off. I've never been very good in that area. I found it's easier for me to write stuff down than it is to actually say it. But knowing it's really, really hard to express your emotions after a while. You go to one extreme to the other. I mean, there's like no middle ground, and that's what we're trying to find here today with this episode, is the middle ground. You either lock it all up, or it all blows up constantly, one of the two, and you don't know how to talk about it. You don't know how to process them, and it gets to be too much. So it's like, okay, where do I start? And that's one thing that I've been working on over the past couple of years, is for me, one thing that I do, and I started writing my books. A lot of people will keep a journal, anything there to try to help. When you start feeling that urge of, okay, I need to say something, but I don't know exactly what it is, I'll sit down at my computer with a Word doc and I'll just start typing. I don't worry about punctuation. I don't worry about capitalization. I don't worry about paragraphs. And most of the time it's one long sentence. It's kind of like, whoa. I do try to hit enter once in a while, so at least I can take a break and I'm not just saying everything all in one run. But what I have found is it helps me process things. It's kind of like why I write notes down for my podcast. I have them sitting in front of me while I'm talking to you. And what it does is it helps me organize my thoughts. And I've learned that if I can organize my thoughts, most of the time I can organize my emotions and I can figure out and I can talk about them and I can feel better. And it's like, okay, I can get through this. But being an introvert, it's really, really difficult because you don't want to talk to anybody. You don't want to burden them. That's really what you feel like you're doing, is you feel like you're burdening them. And we don't like doing that. And I know that the extroverts out there find it very easy to talk. And these are the times that I envy them so much, because it's like they have no problem saying what they mean. They just let it rip. They're full of emotion and everything else. And our extrovert, family members and stuff there, I envy you so much for being able to do that. I've never really been really good at that. I'm either, basically shut down. You can't read me. You don't know what I'm going through. You don't know if I'm upset. You don't know anything. And then all of a sudden, it's like a volcano has erupted, and it's like, whoa, okay, wait, it's too much, and that's just pretty much the way I am. And that's why I envy my extrovert family members that are listening to this. I envy you guys so much because you guys don't have a problem talking about things, and I'm so jealous of that. And I've never been real good at that. So, when I get to that point, what I do is, and then that's when I started writing my books, because I started with journaling, and that was a nightmare. I've went back and read some of my entries that I did back then, and I gotta say, I should have been locked up. I was dark. I mean, I scared the heck out of me. Freddy Krueger probably wouldn't even come into my dreams. They were that dark. I mean, they were bad. So what I had to do is I had to find a positive and healthy way to channel all of those feelings into something, something that I can get out of it, something positive. So that's why I started to write a book. And now I've written, I've got 6 written, 4 published, and I'm working on a 7th one in between the 4 podcasts that I'm now doing. And it helps me. It helps me organize everything. Another thing that helped me, along with the journaling and stuff, there is taking care of my physical health, but taking care of my body, taking care of, I'm working on the mental part with the writing. I had to worry about the physical part of my body. And that's where, coming into my weight loss journey, that has come into play. I have found that, if you eat better, that will help you sleep a little bit better. It will help you de-stress a little bit more. I honestly did not put the link together. I fought it for years. I always said, I ain't going to worry about it because I've got nobody to impress. There's nobody out there that wants me. So why worry about if I'm 300 pounds overweight? Well, the other thing that didn't factor in is I need to be here for my family. I need to be here for my friends. They still need me to help them through things, and I want to be there for them. And I forgot to take that into account. I was only worrying about my selfish ways of, well, there's nobody that's ever going to want to date me, or I'm never going to have a loved one in my life. And so why worry about it? Just let myself get all fat and nasty and be done. Well, what I learned is taking care of your physical body, health, all of that stuff there is right along with your mental health. It all goes hand in hand, and I didn't realize how much of it was until I started losing my weight and started working on the mental and the physical end of it and trying to make myself a little bit better. And I have found things are a lot better, and I can process my emotions a lot easier now. It's still not that I tell everybody about what's on my mind, or that's how I feel, or anything like that. I'm still basically in training on that one there, because I'm still keeping everything somewhat bottled up, but I am getting better about it. I'm figuring out that if I want people to open up and talk to me about, private things or sensitive things, I have to reciprocate. I have to turn around and do the same thing so they feel comfortable talking to me. And if all else fails and stuff, talk to a counselor, talk to a therapist. And I know that's kind of voodoo, especially for men. We were just told you just shut up and you take it. You don't let anything bother you. You don't express emotion. You compartmentalize. You lock it away. We don't care about you. You just go on. You can take all the hits. You can shoulder all the burden. You can do all of that stuff. And on top of it all, there you have to be there for everybody else. And then you get kicked in the stomach constantly because people take advantage of you. You have all of these things that men are going through. And so it's okay. I just want you to know it's okay to talk to a counselor. It's okay to talk to a therapist. And nobody else has to know. There's nothing wrong with that. But it shows that you're worried about your own mental health and your physical health, because honestly they're linked together. And like I said, I didn't realize how much they were linked together until I started losing all my weight. It was like, holy cow, I didn't realize they were so one in one. It was like, holy cow, okay, I never would have guessed this in a million years. And over the past year and a half, while I've been going through my weight loss journey, I've been doing more research. I've been talking to more people. I've been talking to people that work out constantly, people that know how to eat better, how to cook better. I honestly did not think that you could eat as well as what I am while losing weight. I never in a million years would have ever guessed that I eat as well as I do. And I'm so lucky because my son is right there with me, and he helps me, and he watches my caloric intake with me, my salt, all of that stuff. So when we're cooking, we're always making better food, healthier food. It's amazing. So that all goes hand in hand. So for you to start down the road so you would feel better, and you might need a little bit of help, there's nothing wrong with talking to some professional help. Like I said, I don't have a fancy piece of paper on the wall that says I'm smart, or I've been through 8 years of schooling, or anything like that. I wish I did. I wish I wouldn't have dropped out of college when I did. But all I got is the award, the diploma on the wall, School of Hard Knocks, and that's all I got. So that's what I try to talk to people about, and trying to let them know that it's okay to seek out a little bit of help if you need to. Don't think anything less of yourself. You're not being weak by doing it. You're actually being extremely strong by doing it, because you're basically admitting, okay, I need a little bit of help. I need to talk to somebody. I think that is phenomenal. Be proud of yourself. You have come so far by doing that. That is a huge, 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 monstrous step that you have just taken by going and talking to somebody. So that will help you stay away from denying your emotions. You'll be able to talk to things a little bit more. You'll be able to work things through a little bit more. Just know that, hey, I'm proud of you. I think that's amazing. I think that's phenomenal. And there's nothing to be, basically embarrassed about in any way, shape, or form. So I'm kind of looking at the time on the monitor here and stuff, and it looks like I'm getting a little short on time. So I'm going to kind of wrap up today's podcast and stuff there. But just know that, denying your emotions is not a good thing. Do whatever it takes there to basically help yourself through. If you need to talk to somebody, go ahead. We all go through huge life changes. That's just the way it is. Jobs, deaths, divorces, just anything like that. There's a lot that's going on out there, and it's very, very easy to compartmentalize and lock it away. So, try not to do that. And I hope there's something in this podcast here that will help you basically get through the day a little bit easier. And like I said, I know this is basically geared around introverts, but we have, and I have extrovert friends, family members, all my extended family members that are listening to this podcast. You guys, I hope you can take away something from this as well, because you guys deserve the help too. If you guys have questions, you guys are welcome to email me at seangmorris@gmail.com. I would be more than happy to field any questions that you have. I'll try to help in any way that I can. Remember, I'm not somebody professional. I'm not smart in any way, shape, or form. All I got is just life experience. But if there's something that I've gone through, or something that I know a way of getting you some help, or maybe seeing something from a different angle, I would love to help you. Shoot me an email. It's no problem. Sorry about that. That's Willow. Apparently she wants to be in the podcast today. So when all said and done, just do whatever you can to protect your mental health, your physical health. Keep the good vibes going. Keep the positive energy going. And as long as you start seeing it that way and processing the emotions, things will get easier for you. And remember, it's not going to happen overnight to make these changes. All these problems and everything else didn't accrue overnight. They're not going to go away overnight. So give yourself a little bit of time. Be easy on yourself through the healing process, the processing process, everything. Just give yourself a little bit of time to get to that point. Just know it's not going to happen overnight. And while you're doing that, basically take a few minutes. If you like what you've heard today and stuff there in my podcast, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube page, share it as much as you can, comment on the pages. I love hearing from you guys. It means the world when you take 30 seconds and leave a comment for me. It lets me know that something about this is helpful, and you want me to continue on. It really, really helps. And like I said before, I only do this to help people. That's all I'm doing. I don't get paid for this. I get no reimbursement, no nothing. All of this is just because I want to help as many people as I can. So the more you like, share, subscribe, all of that stuff, that moves me up in the search algorithms and allows us to grow our extended family out there. And that's what I want to do, is try to help as many people as I can. So, okay, well, time is up. I got to shut this podcast down today, but I'm not going to let you get away without the dad joke of the day. So if you're ready to groan, here we go. Do you know why you shouldn't write with a broken pencil? Because it's pointless. I told you they get better and better. You guys love them. I know you do. You guys are submitting them. I appreciate that. So remember, you got this. I believe in you. That way you can believe in yourself as well. Nothing but positive thoughts. And as always, all my love and support, Sean.